Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to go over how I'm going to turn all of this into this. Okay, I've gone ahead and I've built my two frames. Hold the bottom shelf and hold the top shelf. I did not video cutting them or screwing them together because, I mean, hopefully everybody knows how to do that. Knows how to cut wood, knows how to glue and screw it together. So I didn't videotape that. But anyway, two frames. I wanted a inch and a half overhang all the way around. So I had 2x4 studs, not 8-foot 2x4s, or 2x4 studs. So that means that the 2x4 is 92.5 inches long. And if I was to put this board here on the inside, this outside board would have had to been 93 inches long. So I cut this at 90 inches. You add an inch and a half, that's your 93. Because I went on the outside, these outside boards to get that is 48 minus 3, that's 45 inches on these. And then these fit inside. These are just supports to keep the wood from bowing over time. And they're 42 inches long. So it's all glued and screwed all the way around. Now, I'm going to use this as an outfeed table and a work table and stuff. So I needed it to be set about the size of, or about the height of my table saw. I didn't want it exactly the height. I wanted it a little bit lower, but not a lot. About an eighth, 3/16 of an inch below. I also wanted to put it on casters. So these are the legs. So what I had is I had 35 1/8. I got rid of the 1/8. Took care of the 3/4 of the top off of it. That gives you 34 1/4. And then from 34 1/4, I forget what the exact measurement was on these. I had them marked out. I subtracted that off of these. Then these came out 30 5/8 inches tall. I got the casters on there. Now, when I go to put this together, these are going to actually fit inside. And there'll be, on the bottom shelf, I'm just going to probably screw it on to the frame. But the top one will be screwed and then lag bolted with one lag bolt through each side and bolt that in. And that'll give this to where this can roll the wheels on there. The biggest problem I'm going to have is I'm by myself on most of this, be getting it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out where I want the bottom shelf, and I'm going to put a cleat on each one of these. And that way I can put them in there and let the support frame sit on the cleat while I screw it on. I'll do the same thing for the top. And when I do the lower shelf, I'm going to cut it off towards 45 inches wide and 93 inches long so that it'll fit flush with the frame. And then I've got a notch out on each corner of the plywood to go around the 4x4. So anyway, that's this part of it. When I get to assembling, then I'll videotape the assembling. But like I said, it really, in my mind, wasn't necessary to videotape me cutting wood and screwing it together because hopefully everybody knows how to cut wood and they know how to screw it together and glue it. So anyway, next will be starting to put this thing together. All right. I had cut the 4x4 post, and if you remember, I had said that I had cut them to where when I put the plywood on the top frame, that it's going to be about 1/8 of an inch below the top of my table saw. And so I got that measurement, which was 35 1/8, and it ended up that with subtracting the wheels that I got from Harbor Freight, these 4x4s were 30 3/4 inches, 30 5/8 inches long. Now you'll see these 2x4s that I've kind of scabbed on the side of this, and here's the reason for this. These are going to sit down in the lower frame in a corner like this, and I have to be able to hold this height while I fasten them. So that's what this board is for, is to hold that height. So we just set that down, pull that frame up to it, clamp it, and screw them in. So I'm going to get the bottom on, then I'm going to figure out whether I can get the top shelf, the bottom shelf in there at an angle after I put the top on, or whether I'm going to have to put it in there ahead. Probably I'm going to have to cut it and put it in there ahead of putting the top frame on. All right, put the lower frame up here on some saw horses, and now I'm going to take the 4x4 post, and they're going to sit down in here like this, and we're going to clamp them in, and then I'm going to put a couple screws in each side. So first thing I'm going to do is put a little glue on the 4x4s. That'll probably fall there. And then I'm going to set this down here and bring it up tight. And screw that up tight. Now let me get my drills and some screws. Okay, so now I've got the 4 legs screwed into the lower shelf support. I will take these blocks off, and I'm going to move them up here under the bottom. I know you can't see the mark here, but under the bottom of that mark, so that when I set the other frame up, it'll lay just where it needs to be. And but I've got to first figure out, measure to see if I can drop this plywood in after I put the frame on, or whether I've got to put it in first. I'm going to cut this plywood down to the exact size of this, which is 93 by 45. Then I got a notch out for these posts on each corner. This will be 1/2 inch, just a like a CD type plywood for this bottom shelf. All right, we've taken the frame down off of here and laid up the 1/2 inch plywood that's going to go on the bottom shelf. And I've got to cut it down to 45 inches wide by 93 inches long. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rip it down this side and see if I can't get this fairly decent just by hand. All right, now I got to move lumber down, cut it off 45. Then I got to lay out for my post to fit through, and we'll get it from there. Okay, so I'm gonna pick this up and drag it back. That's good. All right, that's the bottom and the bottom shelf on there. That'll get nailed down on there. Then I'm gonna put the cleats, put the top on. Now these will have to flex a little bit. They're not gonna be perfect until we bring them up. And then if I need to, I'll put some angle braces in there if I need to square it up. We'll just see how it goes. But anyway, strong enough to carry me. All right. Take a break, baby. All right, I've got the table frame built, bottom plywood in on the frame down there. And now I'm going to start fastening the top frame to the 4x4. So what I've got to do, I got to drill on these. I'm going to carriage bolt through, one this way, one this way. And so I've got to drill through. The issue is the drill bit I have is just barely long enough to go through. So I'm going to basically take and squeeze as tight as I can to get everything tightened up to the 4x4s, and then see if I can't drill through. Oh well. All right, I have the table roughed. I still have to fasten the top down. I'm gonna do that with Craig screws from the bottom. But first I'm gonna clean it off and paint it. The top is gonna get a clear varnish on it, and all the rest of it's going to be painted with a flat enamel. But anyway, it'll do what I need it to do. Like I said, a little bit more to piddle with on it, painting it up and stuff. So when I get it all finished and painted and the top sealed, then I'll show you what the end product looks like. Okay, I've got the frame built lower shelf end on the casters. Kind of went ahead and painted a little bit of this. I'm going to get ready to drill the holes, screw holes to fasten the top down. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use Kreg screws. So I've got, actually it's a Kreg jig made to go on a table and put stuff in it. But I'm just got it where I'm turning and clamping it on here upside down. So basically I'll be drilling up from the bottom into there, and should be getting my holes right. So let me get my drill. Okay, I'm gonna double check that, but it should be all right. I'm gonna make sure that it's the right height for the screw. If not, I'm gonna readjust the Kreg bit. So I'm not really screwing anything down here right now. I'm just going to run the Kreg screw up in the slot. And then check and see if that's about where I want it. And it looks about right if you ask me. So that's where I'm gonna run with it. So now I've got to do all of them through here. Going to be 3 on each of these boards all the way through, and we'll put one here, a couple there, one there on each side. So a lot of drilling. Time for me to shed this jacket. Okay, so got all the holes drilled. Now do a little cleanup. Slide the plywood over here. I've got the first coat of polyurethane on it, sanded it. I'll put it on, and after I get it on here later, I'll put the second coat and the additional coats of polyurethane on the top. Okay, got the table all put together. About the only other thing I need to do to it is I've sanded the top after I put the first coat of polyurethane on it. That'll typically, when you put the first coat on, that'll make the grain stand up. So you sand it again, and then put another coat, at least one more coat of polyurethane on it. Now, this is supposed to be the right height for my table saw pull up to it and use this as an outfeed table. But unlike a lot of outfeed tables you probably see people build out there, I'm not going to cut the 2 data grooves in it for the slide bars to slide into. One of the reasons too is when I'm using the slides, which either going to be the little angle ones or my cross-cut slides, stuff like that, the material that I'm cutting is not going to be long enough that I need it to go out onto an outfeed table right there. The other thing too is this table's movable, so it's real easy to move out of the way when I go to utilize those slides, which is rare that I do, except when I'm cutting stuff like miters, or when I'm using the miter slide, or I'm cutting some dados on the ends and stuff. There again, I'm not going to cut slots into this table because it's not going to sit there behind the table saw altogether. Anyway, so that's basically what I got done here. It's all put together. It's on the wheels. This thing ought to last me a while. I bought this cheaper plywood. Instead of using birch, it's okay. But I can remove it if I ever want to go with birch. But I think this will be fine for what I want to do. It's going to get banged up anyway, so no sense in doing the birch on it. This will be a perfect table for what I need to do. On my next video, I'm going to do sort of an unboxing, and we'll do a review. I'll do a review on this bandsaw. So it's a Ryobi benchtop 9-inch. I got this at Home Depot. They were $129, plus tax and stuff, and so come out like 138 something total on it. But technically, I only paid $5.74 for it. So I figured, what the heck, right? And I'm not going to give you my secret. I did buy it from Home Depot, directly out of the store.